and welcome to the Joy of Editing with Dave Cully. On today's episode, you guessed it, Topaz Studio 2 again. On today's episode, we're looking at a brand new filter. It's called the Flare filter, and it used to be called the Star Effects filter back in the early days of Topaz Labs. And they brought this filter into Topaz Studio 2, and this came on a new update. And this new update changes the interface just very slightly. They made some changes, and I'll point those out as we go along. But this filter is really cool, so join me on this one. Well, thanks for joining me. All right, so I have this image right here of a night scene. Really cool little scene here. It's a stock image. And I picked it because it has all these lights, and I thought the flare filter would be great for adding some nice little stars and glows around some of these lights. So let me show you. I did one here before I started the tutorial. So let me click on layer 1, and you can see what I did. So this is the kind of thing the flare filter will do. So here's the before, and here's the after. Pretty cool. And these glows and these star effects look really, really awesome. Now this image, I simplified it because I thought it looked a little more artistic, and we're going to do that too. So just to brush you up in the abstract filter, but just very briefly. All right, so I made this black layer here, layer 2. Let me click it on. And the reason I made this layer was because I want to show you how this filter works. So I thought I'd show you technically how it works, which will make it really easy to understand how this flare filter works. So let's come up here to Filter, go down to Topaz Labs. Not Topaz Labs, I'm sorry, go to Topaz Studio 2 actually, and then we're going to launch Topaz Studio 2. We're going to come up here to add filter. Now here's one of the changes in the interface. See down here at the bottom where it says plugin? Now your plugins live in here, and they also live still up here under filters, under plugins, so they still live there too. This is only on the opening screen here that you see this when you click on add filter. So let's come down here to the flare filter and give that a click. Now you notice we have the opacity, we have the blend modes, but we no longer have the presets here. We still have an icon that saves presets, which is right here. It used to sit around here, but they moved that. And down below here, we have a section called presets. And if you click that, different presets will show up here, which is really nice. And it will also show you how they'll affect your image. And also you have this little icon right here. Looks like a window pane. Give that a click. And you can show more presets at once on the preset section here, which is nice. So I'm just going to click it so we just see them singly right here. Now to get rid of this, we just click on this layer right here. It's actually not a layer, but this preset section. Just give that a click and that goes away. And now we see our star interface. The star interface is broken up into sections under the heading of stars. Now, we have placement, we have structure, and we have appearance, and we're going to go over all of these. Now, you notice here we have 4 blocks here. We have one called add, one called remove, one called auto, and one called clear. If you have a bunch of stars on your image and you hit clear, they'll all go away. When you bring your image into the Topaz Studio 2 and you come to the flare filter, and if you hit the auto button, it'll find all the lightest points in your image and add stars to those points. Right now, if I click auto, nothing happens, as you can see here, because I just have a black image and there's no lights on it at all, so it can't find anything. If you want to remove a certain star, you would click remove and then come over to your canvas here, and you see the little X on there. Come to the star that you want to remove and click it and it'll remove it. If you want to add a star, you click on add and then you come over to your canvas and you can click and add a star wherever you want it. I'll show you that in a second. But then below that you have the different types of stars. Now you have standard, and look in this little square right here. You have standard. If I click on cross, and it'll show you what it's going to look like. You have vector, you have hyper, you have burst, and you have north, and you have Hollywood. So the North Star sits right here in the flare filter. All right, let's add a standard star first. So let's click on standard. Make sure we're in the add. And sometimes that might be a little bug. Sometimes when I click on add, a little hand comes up. So if that happens, just come back and click on add again. Now let's add some stars here. Let me click here. We're adding a star. Let's add another star right here. Let's add another star here. And let's add a bunch of stars around here. I know I'm getting clever. I feel happy today, so I want to make a smiley face star just to show you how this works. If you want to remove a star, you can come over here and click remove to remove a star, or here's a little trick that I discovered. If you hold the Option key down and your add star becomes an X, which will be a removal of stars. So you can come here and you have to hold that Option down the whole time or else it'll come back to a plus. So that's really nice for removing and adding stars at random. So come here and just click here and that star is gone. So if I want to add another one back, just click again. Here's a fun fact. If you want to change these stars, all you need to do is come over to this section here and click on any one of these different types of stars. Let's click on cross and you notice they'll all change. Or vector, they change to vector. Let's just click through them all. There is hyper, here is burst, north, and Hollywood. Let's come back here to standard. Now, if you wanted to add different types of stars, you would have to come up to add filter and add another flare filter, and then you could add a different style of star to a different portion of your image. So that's a good little tip. Remember also, if you want to clear your stars, just come here and click on clear and you can start again. If you said, oh, I made a mistake, come up to undo and just click that and they're all right back. So that brings us through the placement section. So now let's go into structure. Let's have some fun here. All right, see if I can get it all up on the screen. Placement and structure right here. Okay, so we have length. So if I move this to the right, and here's why I'm doing this on black, so you can clearly see what's going on here. Sometimes with the image, it's hard to tell exactly what's happening. So you can make these longer or shorter and give them different types of looks. And here's angle. Ooh, look at my smiley face. Pretty fun. All right, so you can change your angle. You can adjust the spikes. How many spikes you want. Now, see these numbers here? They represent how many spikes are on here. For instance, there's 10 spikes in there. I know because I counted them. And there's 7 spikes. Here is 5 spikes. And here is the old traditional star we used to make in school. So there's a 5-star, 5 spiked star. Now we have secondary points. This is really sweet. Secondary points, adjust this to the right. And see the secondary points come up? And then you can adjust that as to how you want those to come out. And it looks like they're adding more points when I move it up. I think it is. Can't say for sure. Can you see that? Can't say if it's adding more points or altering them in some way. Not sure. But anyway, you can add secondary points, which is a nice feature. So now let's come into the appearance section. Now we have sharpness. So if you move the sharpness to the left, you'll make the star a little more blurrier, a little more glowy. Move it to the right, you'll get it all crisped up. I hope that's a good word. Look at this cool little effect that's happening in here. One of the presets is doing this, making these little dash lines in here. They call it fairy lights, I think. So that's neat. So play with your sharpness. So again, I just want you guys to see what this does by playing around with these sliders on black. It's easier to see. So now intensity, we can make the intensity more or less. So we can adjust our intensity. And remember, double click the name of the slider and it resets it back to the default position. Now, the saturation is not going to show anything on black. I've played with this, but watch, I'll move the saturation. It makes it turn black. Move it to the right or to the left, it gets lighter. So let me double click saturation. I'll show you that when we get to the real image, and you'll see the saturation does work. But here on black, it doesn't. Apologize for that. Then we go to warmth. If you want to add more warmth to your star, move it to the right. If you want to make it cooler, move it to the left. And you can cool it down. Double click warmth, get it back. This is a cool one, and I like this one a lot, and that's ring flare intensity. You want to add a ring flare to your star, move this to the right. I can hear you out there getting excited right now. You're like, wow, that is so cool. I can just hear that. All right, and then you have ring flare size, so you can make it larger, or you can make it smaller. And you can imagine the possibilities here, right? Look at my smiley face. And then we have soft flare intensity. So we can move it to the left, soften it up, move it to the right. Okay, make it more intense. All right, so we have that adjustment. And then we have a glow here. And this is a really cool one here, the glow. So if you move it to the right, it gets more glowy. You see the glow coming around it. Move it to the left, you can take the glow off. So this is the technical portion of the video. Now we're going to the actual image itself and have a lot of fun. So let's do that next. Well, it's time to have some fun. I've already duplicated my background layer so I can work non-destructively. I'm coming up to filter. I'm coming to Topaz Studio and Topaz Studio 2, launching Topaz Studio 2. Here we are. We're coming to add filter. First thing I want to do, I always like, as I always tell you, run AI clear just to sharpen up the image. And look what that did, and remove noise. I'm going to click on the image so you can see. Here's the before and after. This image was a little on the soft side, but look how that sharpened it up. That is an amazing filter. Now let's go to add filter. I'm going to click on abstraction. I just want this image to look a little more whimsical and a little more arty. And I'm going to use the abstraction filter, and I've already showed you how to do that. I'm just going to add a little bit of simplify size to it. I'm not going to go too crazy here. I want to make sure I can kind of still read my, the letters and things here on the hotel sign, and this sign over here. It looks like it was in France, I would think, but I'm not sure. Don't know what language that is. Anyway, so there's that, and I'm going to do another filter. I'm going to click Add Filter. I haven't showed you this yet, but I already have this video made. It's on the Edges filter. We're going to come down to Edges, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you how that works in detail. It's a tough filter to wrap your head around, but I think I'm going to make sense of it, and you're going to understand it, and you're going to love it. But let me show you a little introduction here to what it can do. It will thicken up edges on different edges of your image here, which makes it look really good, especially if you're using an abstraction filter, okay? I'm going to leave it on dark edge tone, and I'm going to change the color edge to monochrome edge because I do like the monochrome edge. And I'm just going to take the edge strength and move this to the right. And can you see what's happening there? It's looking for edges, and it's making those edges thicker. So I'm going to find a spot that I kind of like. Maybe right around in there. I'm just going to play with the simplify edge to fine tune a little bit here. And see what I like. Just taking a few seconds, and I think that looks good. So let me click on the edges eyeball here, before and after. See what that does? Isn't that cool? See how the hotel sign comes out really nice? Really cool. I like that. Now we're going to come here and click Add Filter, coming down and clicking on Flare. And now we're going to have some fun. You already know how to adjust this filter, so let's come over here first to Auto. Remember, with the black image I had, Auto did nothing, but let's click on Auto now. And see, it's finding the lightest parts of this image, and it's automatically putting stars in. That's pretty fun. So it's a nice place to start out. In our case, I'm just going to hit clear and get rid of that. And I am going to come over here to Add. Now, we can pick any type of star that we want, standard or cross. Let's start out with the standard, and I'll show you some really cool tricks. So there's standard. So let's come over here. And remember, this might be a little bug. See my little hand tool? Oh, I'm going to come here and click Add again, and now it turns into a green cross. So remember, you can hold the Option key and make it a remove star too. So let's start adding some stars. Let's look for some points where we might think we want a star. I'm intrigued by this little section right in here, so I'm going to put a star right there. And maybe on this window here, I want a little star. Now, I know it doesn't look good yet. We're going to play around and tweak it up. But I just want to place my stars where I think they should be. This is a nice light area. I'm going to put a star there. I like this sign right here, so I might throw a star right there. These people look like they're having a really good time here, so let me throw a little star right there to make your eye go into them here. Here's a waiter here. This looks fun. I would love to be here right now. These people look like they're having a good time over here. Let me throw a little star right over here. I like that. And let's see. Any other stars? Oh, maybe this little window right here. Yeah, I don't like that. So I'm going to hold the Option key down and get rid of that star. What about star in the sky? Ooh, nice. No, I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, so I don't want a star there. Anywhere else I want a star? Maybe right back here. Let's throw a star right there. I may decide to remove that one later, but let's work with this. How about a star in the water? I think in the original pre-show image I did, I had a star down here in the water. So let me put a star right there. All right, so we're starting off. It's looking okay. So this is fun. Now you can come here and let's go through the different types of stars. And notice they're all going to change. There's cross, here's vector, here's hyper, here's burst. Let's see which one we like. And North and Hollywood and cross? Do I like cross or do I like vector? I'm going to start with vector. I don't know. I'm going to play with this. All right, so now we're going to come here to length. We're under the structure section. We're going to come to length, and let's just work our way down. So we can make our stars larger or smaller. And let's start around there. We can play with our angles. Maybe something like that. I like that. Let's go with our spikes. How many spikes do we want in our stars? Let's throw some spikes in there. There's 5 spikes. Secondary points. I want to throw a little bit of secondary points in there. Not a whole lot. Now we're moving to appearance. Now here's our sharpness. So if I move this to the left, the stars get less sharp, a little more on the glowy, blurry side. Let's move it to the right. So look, I can define them. And I think I might. I might make them a little bit sharper, maybe somewhere in there. Okay. And here's the length. Let me just shorten the length. I think the length is too long. Yeah, maybe I want to shorten that length up a little bit. And, okay, so sharpness, intensity, do I want them brighter? I think I do want them brighter. Maybe just a little bit, right around there. Now, here's the saturation. Remember, it didn't work when I had the black image. As you can see here, the saturation does work. So you can give it a little extra saturation. I might just give it just a tiny bit there. And then we can adjust the warmth. We want to make them warmer or cooler. I don't know. I'm just going to double click warmth. I kind of liked it where it was. Now, here's the one I like. Ring flare intensity. Bring some ring flare to the scene. And already, I like the ring flare. Okay, so right around there. Let me change the ring flare size. Maybe make it a little bit smaller, not quite as pronounced. I know I have a tendency to overdo things. I'm sure you might too. And then solar, I call it solar flare intensity, but it's soft flare intensity. So we can make that flare more intense or less. And I think I want it more intense, I think. And now here's our glow. So if we want to add more glow, yeah, I like a little bit of glow in there. I think the little bit of glow looks nice. Okay. Now, you know what? I may not like this star here and here. I may want to use a different type of star up here. So let me hold the Option key down and click on that star and click on that star. I think I might want to use a different type. And this one, it's not working for me. So let me hit the Option key and get rid of that one. All right, so let's come up to flare and see. Here's our before and here's our after. I like it. All right, let's click on the flare layer. That's hard to say real fast. Again, and then see if I like everything. All right, I'm kind of happy with it. Let me just check my angle here. Yes, I like that angle. I'm really happy with that. All right, let's add another flare layer and come up here to add filter and come and click on flare again. This time I want to be in the add mode. I'm going to maybe put a different type of a flare on these two windows here. So let's start with standard and just come over and put one here. And where was the other section? I think it was right here. I want to put one there. And let's go through some of these different ones and just see what we want here. Maybe more like that. More like a glowing window. See, that doesn't look good. The Hollywood glow. No. Maybe. Burst. No. Was it? Not vector. Was it hyper? No. Was it cross? I can't remember. No, it wasn't. It must have been vector. Okay, so there's vector. So let me come to the length. Maybe take that down a little bit. And the spikes. Now, let's see. I'm going to play with this a little bit. Not sure what I want. Let me check the angle out here. Okay. Something like that. I don't want secondary points on it. I don't think I do. The intensity. Ooh, that looks like a big triangle. Okay. Sharpness. Okay. So maybe I do want more points on it. Oh, that's secondary points. Sorry about that. And Spikes is what I wanted. Yeah, I want more spikes on it, and length. Yeah, there we go. It's the length is what I want. Maybe somewhere around in there. And then come down, the intensity's up. Don't have any saturation in there. Yeah, you know what? I might want a little bit of saturation there. Give it a more of a glow look. And sharpness is down. Turn the sharpness up. No, I want the sharpness down. And do I want it warmer? Not really. Cooler. No. Let me double click warmth. And adding a little bit of ring flare intensity, maybe somewhere in there, and then take the ring flare size down. Maybe something like that. The soft flare intensity, up or down. Let's take it up. The glow. I'm hoping this is going to give me what I want. Maybe the glow there a little bit like so. It's probably too pronounced now. Let's take this intensity. Take that intensity back. Yeah, with that glow, and then I can play with that intensity a little bit. And maybe come to my opacity here and pull that opacity back a little bit. Maybe somewhere right in there. Maybe a little bit more. I don't want it to be too pronounced. Maybe somewhere right in there. And you know what? I don't think I like it here, so I'm going to option click this and get rid of that one. I'm just going to leave that one right there. Let me see with a little more intensity on it. Maybe not quite as much saturation. Yeah. Maybe not quite as much saturation on it. Right there, I think that looks pretty good. I'm not quite done tweaking. I just want to take the opacity back in this a little bit. So it's at 0.65 right now. I'm just going to take it back just a little bit. I think that looks better. A nice little soft glow coming out of there. I think it looks realistic. So let's click the before and after on this top flare eyeball. There's a before and there's the after. I think that looks really good. There's just one more very important thing I forgot to show you. So to show you that, let me click off these two layers by clicking the eyeball here and clicking the eyeball on that one and coming and adding a new flare filter. So click right on the flare filter, and that is dealing with the auto. When I click on auto and it finds the highlighted parts of the image and puts stars on them, let me click this and you'll see it picks them out for us. But there's something here. We have 3 more sliders that come up when you click auto. They're not there until you click auto. And so when you adjust this maximum auto stars, it'll start to find other stars in different portions of the image. And let's just really pull that up, and because I want to show you what the sensitivity does. If you move the sensitivity to the right, it'll make it less sensitive, so we'll find less stars. If you move it to the left, it'll find more stars. Okay. And then if you get a bunch of stars all clustered together and you don't like them, you can come to the star separation and start moving this to the right, and it'll start pulling stars away. So this is nice if you like to work automatically, if you just want to get a real quick job done and you say, hey, that looks pretty good. So you can use the auto, and then you have these sliders here. So I just wanted to point that out. So let's come up here and just delete this layer, and let's go back and turn these 2 eyes back on. So let me click on the center of the image. This is the before, and I said center of the image. You can actually click anywhere on the image, and you can even click out here. You don't actually have to be on the image. So here's the before. I'm left clicking with the mouse, and here is the after. So I thought that turned out really nice. The flare filter. I love this filter. Used to be called Star Effects in the old days of Topaz Labs. Well, I hope you enjoyed this one. There's a lot of possibilities for this filter. Imagine you can use it on these night scenes. You can use it on daylight scenes. like highlights popping off water or in mud puddles, some highlights and children playing around in the puddles and things like that. I mean, the possibilities are endless. Just let your mind go wild there. Well, if you like this video today, please give it a like and share it with your friends. And also, if you're not yet subscribed to my channel, please do so and click that bell notification icon. This way you'll be informed of all the new training videos that I have coming out. If you haven't updated your Topaz Studio 2, do that. And it is version 2.1.0, and it will have the flare filter built right into it. So do that. Well, thanks again for joining me today in The Joy of Editing with Dave Kelly, and I'll see everyone right here next time.